welcome back to the Saturday session. My name is Gianpaolo Bassi. I am the CEO of SolidWorks, and today we have a very interesting and dense program for Design for Life, which is what we are doing here in this week in the Milano Design Week. So we are focusing on Design for Life. Today, in particular, the theme is actually social forward. So these two words are very important because social is about the environment that we are creating, about designing things that have a very social, deep meaning, can make our lives better. And forward because it's about the future. This event, in any case, is focused on the future, creating a better environment and making a better use of our resources. So the first guest, Annamaria Franz, she's a mathematician, and she works for a company called CATAS. CATAS is one of the few labs in laboratories in the world that is created to certify things that we use every day. Furniture is one of the most notable test labs in the world to certify the quality and the performance of furniture, which is something that we use every day. And you can imagine how many details are in the material and in the functioning. For instance, CATAS certifies the furniture created by IKEA, just to name one very famous furniture maker. So Annamaria will tell us how things are working in CATAS, how they use technology, how they use Dassault Systèmes technology, SolidWorks in this case, in order to make sure that the furniture that we all use are safe, are of the declared quality, and are also designed in a way that is sustainable. So the materials can be safely put in an environment, domestic environment. The chemical used to treat the wood, to paint, are safe and also are sustainable long-term in the environment. So it is my pleasure to invite Annamaria to the stage.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Gianpaolo. Nice to meet you. Thank you. Thank you to everybody.
Yep, thank you very much. Annamaria, this is your clicker. Please have a seat. Relax. You have about 30 minutes to tell us the wonders that are happening in the CATAS labs.
Yes. So as you said, I will try to explain you what is my job. In CATAS we are 50 people. We are chemists, biologists, mathematicians, engineers, all with a technical background. We are sited in two areas. We have one site in Udine, in the northeast, and one in Brianza, in Lissone. So in the two main production areas as for furniture. And our job is destroying furniture. So every day we destroy furniture. 2,000 companies from all over the world bring to us every year their products so that we can test them. Every year we carry out almost 50,000 tests, so we are the hugest Italian laboratory for furniture and one of the main test houses in Europe. And we test every kind of furniture in every aspect. Let me show you a short video just to understand better what we do. We start with the video. This is the sound of the lab. So we start from chemical analysis on raw materials, for example, to detect if there are any substances emitted from furniture which can cause problems to our safety and to our health. Let me just say that, for example, formaldehyde causes cancer, and it is contained in all the wooden-based panels from which furniture is made. We carry out mechanical tests to assess the performance of materials, plastics, leathers, and so on. We check the surface quality. What happens in our kitchens, in our houses? Surfaces are stressed from many, many ways. we put surfaces in special environments to understand if they can resist to critical environments. For example, when staying into containers during transport, or just to reproduce the aging effects. So for furniture outdoor. Corrosion of metals, for example, so marine environments. Reaction to fire. Of course, we don't want that a furniture product resists to a fire, but it's important that it don't worsen the fire, so it don't contribute to a fire. And finally, safety, resistance, and durability of the finished product. Chairs, tables, cabinets, beds, mattresses. Each kind of furniture is tested from all points of view, so static load, durability, fatigue, impact, drop, any kind of stress. On top of testing, of course, we can carry out inspections to the companies, and we run several certification schemes. We train companies from the furniture sector because, of course, they constantly need to get improved. And this is what we do. Now let's see how Dassault Systèmes and SolidWorks solutions helped us to do it better, in a better way. So this year, let me just tell you that we are celebrating our 50th birthday. So CATAS was built in 1969, and this tells us how long is the story of the need from furniture producers to assess the quality and safety of their products. Nowadays, a piece of furniture, a furniture product, has to fulfill many requirements from the market. So ergonomic shape, pleasant design, sustainability of materials, of course, sustainability of the production. Sometimes it has to include mechanical movements, for example, in the sit-stand tables or in the relax armchairs. It has to be accessible from all the users, but our focus in all these requirements is that all these requirements are fulfilled with the safety of the product maintained. So let's see that our point of view is safety, and the producer has the responsibility, according to European directive, to put on the market only safe products. So our key points are safety and risk management, or let's say risk reducing. And our key instruments are standards, because all our tests are carried out according to standards, being national, European, or international, so ISO standards. And when the product is not covered by a reference standard, we have to set up a risk analysis. Our traditional approach to assess the safety of a product can be represented like this. So the producer puts its concept into a design. This design becomes a prototype, and then the producer brings the prototype to the lab for testing, of course. If the testing is passed, then the product can go to the production. But if the test is failed, of course, something has to be changed in the prototype, and sometimes also the design has to be changed. And so this loop can continue many times, and this, of course, is important as from the time consuming, and its cost, and it's expensive. Now let's see how the Dassault Systèmes SolidWorks solutions improved this cycle. With the simulation, kinetodynamic simulation, or finite element methods, or also with the sustainability solutions, we can test directly the 3D model of the design of the product, and so start to apply our testing activity already on the 3D design of the product. This means that something goes wrong. If something goes wrong, we can change the design without even having produced any prototype yet. And so this is much better for the producer. Of course, when we are happy with the design and it's compliant with our requirements, we can go to the prototyping and testing, and there, hopefully, it will be a one-shot. It will pass directly the testing phase and go directly to the production. I will show you some examples of this, of our activity using SolidWorks solutions with kinetodynamic analysis. And this is to answer to the question from the producer, will my product be safe? Which is, of course, a very important question to be answered. And in this case, safety means stability mainly. Then finite element methods analysis to answer to the question, will my product resist mechanically? And can I reduce material and still produce a product compliant? And finally, let's say dulcis in fundo, because we are in the sustainability days for Dassault Systèmes, the sustainability solution. So how can I make my product more and more a green product? The following examples, of course, are, I cannot show you the right designs of the prototypes brought by real companies, so real cases, because of course we have confidentiality and so we cannot show them. They are just examples. And also from the standard part, in sometimes we emphasize the standard requirements to make it more clear. So don't think that a product that you have at home is not safe just for what you are going to see now. So first example, a kinetodynamic analysis on a chair. This is a very common test on a chair. It's a stability test, and it is to assess the frontwards stability of a chair. What we do is we draw the 3D model of the equipment just as the standard requires, so with the exact loads and shapes provided by the European standard, and we ask to the producer the 3D model of the product. We construct with SolidWorks the model of the test, putting the right loads and constraints and so on, and we apply an horizontal force. We want to assess that horizontal force that will cause the overbalancing of the chair. We run the test. Oops. But what we want to see if the overbalancing force is close to or far to the requirement of the standard. In this case, for example, it is far higher than the requirement of the standard, and so this 3D model will pass the test. We are pretty sure that it will be a pass result. And so this is a way to assess it before going to the prototyping phase. Another example, so always kinetodynamic analysis on a chest of drawers. Again, we modelize the equipment. We ask for the 3D model of the chest of drawers. In this case, it is just a pass or fail. We apply the equipment to the product, run the test, and the test is failed in this case. So we have an immediate idea of what will happen, and of course in this case we will have to change and improve in some ways the product. Now let's make it more complex. This is a finite element methods analysis. So here we need not only the geometry and the shape of the product, but we also need information about the mesh of the model and the material. So we design the 3D model, we set the loads and all the constraints, just like the standard requires. We mesh the model. We need to know exactly how are the joints and the engineering part of the product. So we have an exploded view, for example, of the mortise tenon joint, which is very common in wooden chairs. We define the material. Wood is an orthotropic material, and so we have also to orientate it in the components. And this is the result of a static load on the seat and back. Let's see what happens in the joint where the stress is maximum. So the application of a static load according to the reference European standard will produce this kind of result. And then, of course, we can make many considerations about the joint, the material used, if we can improve it in many ways. Another example on a cabinet. This is a cabinet for children bedrooms. So this cabinet goes on top of the head of our child when it's sleeping. So it's quite important that it resists. Again, we put the loads just like the standard requires. And we can obtain from the software any information about deformation in all these parts and components. For example, here is a fixing point to the wall. The software gives us information about the forces, and so we can, for example, decide which type of fixture can be used. Here is what happens as far as stress is concerned in a particular part of the cabinet. And finally, an example about SolidWorks sustainability. So as for sustainability, our interest is in what we can suggest to the producer is an alternative material or an alternative shape of the product, keeping the same or better mechanical characteristics. Here's an example. It's an office chair, very common. The armrest has to resist to a vertical static load provided by the reference standard requirements. And it passes. What can we suggest to the producer? We can suggest to change the material. So here, the Dassault Systèmes SolidWorks sustainability gives us a quick idea of what will be the environmental impact of the new material. So it suggests many new materials. We can choose one and have a very quick idea of what will be the improvement. You can see less carbon consumption, less energy consumption, and all the other things. And also, the software suggests a material that has the same or better mechanical properties. So what we do is that we change the material and we repeat the test. The test is passed again, just to be sure, of course, we do it again. The test is passed. Another thing that we can do is improve the shape. So we can try to produce the same armrest using less material. Again, the software gives us the idea of what will be the sustainability improvement. And of course, we as a lab want to check if the test will be passed again, and so we repeat the simulation. The test is passed, and so as you can see, we can continue with this try and see cycle many times until we are happy with the result. So, from our point of view as a test house, the introduction of SolidWorks solutions helped us to identify structural problems of the 3D design, of the 3D model of the product, optimize the design, save time and save money, of course, before the prototype or the pre-series production are prepared, and also before the mechanical tests in the lab are done. Of course, all these products will have to pass the real tests, but all this can be done previously to the mechanical tests, and this, from our point of view, means much more sustainability. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Annamaria. This is very interesting. Listening to your presentation, I was wondering about the implication of focus on sustainability. Do you think, or rather, are there parts of the standards dedicated to sustainability already? Is there any conversation in the standard bodies to certify for sustainability? What do you think is the sustainability conversation in the furniture industry these days?
So, as a testing lab, we also take part, and this activity is very important for us, taking part to the standardization activities. So our technicians go to the standardization tables to discuss the standards. And we see that sustainability is growing in the need to set up standards, to write down.
It's a market demand.
Yes, so it's a market demand, but of course the standards are
slowly catching up.
Yes, okay. Yes, because writing a standard is, for example, in European standard, is a quite long process and requires some years. But there are, and also I can tell you that in Italy we are quite advanced, yes. There's already, for example, a standard about the LCA method, the uncertainty of measurement into the LCA calculations, and it's an Italian standard.
What is LCA calculation again?
LCA is life cycle assessment, sorry. Okay. So okay. It's it's a way to measure the sustainability of a product. Okay. And yeah, of course, when there is a measure, there's an uncertainty connected with the measure. Mm-hmm. As we in CATAS we make measures, and so for us it's very simple to understand this. But I think that it's simple for everybody, and so understanding the uncertainty of the measurement of an LCA, so of a life cycle assessment, is something quite advanced. And in Italy we already started this process.
So I noticed that at the Design Week here in Milano that there is a lot of conversation around the use of natural materials as opposed to plastic, acrylics, and those type of materials where chemistry is used, is very prevalent. Mm-hmm. What do you see in your labs? Do you see what do you see in terms of new products coming in, use of natural material? Is that true? Is it happening?
We see a lot of recycled materials, so that is in our labs the main trend. So trying to use a recycled or reused, recomposed material, that is the trend that we see to reach sustainability.
Okay, but you said formaldehyde is still used?
Yes.
Okay, so
it's very difficult
is it certified?
Not to use it, so we can reduce it.
Okay.
and that's the key point, but not to use it, it's very important because the other glues are very expensive. So to produce a very cheap furniture product with good mechanical performance without formaldehyde, it's still tricky, yes.
So buy high-end Italian furniture, solid wood, right? So, but this is formaldehyde is used with the manufactured wood, right? For particle woods, those type of woods?
Yes, all the kind.
So if you buy solid wood furniture, there is no formaldehyde?
Formaldehyde is everywhere, also in our body. So the point is to reduce it below the limits. You cannot
but in time it fades away because it's a chemical that evaporates.
It's emitted throughout the life of the product. So it reaches a steady state, and of course we want that this steady state is very low emission, but it will continue for all the life of the product.
So it's not decreasing in time.
It decreases in the first part of the life, and then it stays almost asymptotically steady.
So the prescription could be, in addition to buying solid wood Italian-made furniture, buy old furniture, recycled furniture.
Recycled furniture has a lot of other problems. You have to buy certified furniture. That's the point. So with somebody, a third party who has tested it.
Any questions from the audience? We have a couple of minutes. Yes?
Hello. You're talking about wood and certification. So, what about the question about the origin of the wood? It's not. Is it something that you also take into account here? The origin of the wood.
The place of origin in the world. Sometimes, we do it for jewelry, right?
Is it part of your process also to
analyze? As CATAS, no. But there's an European directive about that, for example, and it is becoming also a very, very important
as citizens and consumers, it's difficult to make sense of all this, and we would like to trust certification and to go for certified products. And therefore, it's interesting also to know what the certification entails. And here we understand what it entails. And then we also need to be looking for other type of information to know about how ethically sourced the wood was.
In principle, in Europe now, only legal wood can enter the European market. That is what says this European directive. Then there are many ways to check it. For example, there are some certifications, FSC or PFC.
Thank you.
Very good. So I have one last question for you. You see pieces of furniture coming from all over the world. What is the health of the European furniture industry?
Health in terms
of productivity, being a strong market, growing, decreasing, moving into other areas of the world. You see furniture coming from all over the world. Are they coming to your labs from unusual places?
From everywhere, and of course also from the Far East, and this tells us the fact that still in Europe we are advanced for our way of knowing the piece of furniture, because an Asian brings its piece of furniture to be checked in Europe, wants to be checked, that its product is checked in Europe. You can imagine the logistics of that. Only to check, not to sell. No. Anyway, it's a gap that it's becoming very, very thin. From the Far East, they are doing good things and improving very quickly.
Very good. Annamaria, thank you very much. We need to wrap up now. Thank you very much for keeping us safe and healthy.
You're welcome.
A round of applause for Annamaria. Thank you.
Thank you.